friend of God. How about you? I'm Reverend Jeri. My pronouns are she and her. It's my pleasure and my delight to be here with you today on this Mother's Day. Our theme this month is say yes. Just say yes. Yeah. Right? Oh, wow, good. Oh, this is going to be good. Just say yes to love is what I get to do. I love love. It's so powerful. It is amazing. Those lyrics are so perfect. It's amazing what love does. Love is the reason I'm standing here. Love is the reason you're sitting there. Really. If you break it all down and you go back and back and back, you'll find love. In spite of anything that's from here to here in between, you will find love. I promise. Love is the entire reason that we exist. Take that in for a second. The reason you're breathing is because love deemed it so. Love said, ooh, I'm going to make me a Gary. I'm going to make me a Sheila. I'm going to make me a Julie. Put your name there. I'm going to make me a Marjorie. Because it wanted to. Because that's what it does. It makes things. And it does it in us, as us, and through us, because it is love itself. If you asked 100 people, I would wager that I'm going to go 75%. If you ask them, what is God? More than likely the answer will be God is love. Haven't you heard that? Like just ask anybody, and oh, God's love. And I think about on this day, my sweet mama. Yeah, I see some of y'all smiling because you know her. Mama Jean, she's something. She really is something. And God knows she's got on a hat to beat all hats today at her church. She's a good Baptist girl. She's wearing her hats to church. Maybe I'll post that online later. She's really amazing at being a mother. And loves me unconditionally for sure. And as Don was ribbing me earlier, we all know that that encompasses a lot. I've been this, that, and the other during my years in the family. But she loves me unconditionally, and we have this whole thing about unconditional love. And most of us think, oh, it's love without strings. It's none of the I'll love you ifs, or I'll love you when, or after you're done, fill in the blank, then I'll love you. But I like to sit in my office and think. I realized I do it every day now. Just realized that the other day. I was like, yeah, you do this all the time. Every day I'm sitting there thinking. And I really like to think about God. I really like to try to figure it out. I like to figure stuff out. And I was sitting there thinking about unconditional love. And when I'm in that state, things just kind of rise up into my brain. It's God. There's only mine, and it's using me. And what occurred to me was that God is not just unconditional love, but God is unconditioned love. Do you get the difference? Right? Doesn't matter what the condition is, love is there. Love is here. Love is all around us, in us, as us, and when we let it, through us. And why is that so? Once again, I like to think about stuff, so I do what I call spiritual math. I like to make equations and go, well, if this is true over here, why? What makes this true? That God is love, and that means I'm love, and you're love. Because we can say it, but I like to figure it out. So we believe in this teaching that God is. There's a great saying from Thomas Troward, God is or God isn't. That's the only question. It either is or it isn't. And it's all of it or none of it. And I believe and we teach that God is. And God being God, whenever it was, it decided it wanted to do something. It wanted to create. And the only thing it had to create anything out of was itself. Because it was the only thing there was. So everything that we see, this music stand, the microphone, my shirt, these tulips, I had fun early, first service, this fake fern, it's still alive. Just because it doesn't have a root doesn't mean it's not alive. It's alive with God. So everything being made out of God must be what God is. What else would it be? You make a cake out of flour and eggs, it's a cake out of flour and eggs. You, my friends, are love itself. And whether you believe it or accept it, doesn't change it. So on this Mother's Day, I realized that you might not have the story that I have with my mother. Maybe some of you really struggled. Maybe you're still struggling. Maybe your mom drives you up the wall. I mean, there are those mothers. I know them. But it doesn't change who they are. And what I thought the other day is, I've mothered people. I have, what did I say, 19 nieces and nephews and 14 greats. And let me tell you, I've mothered those children. Sometimes I needed a little more mothering than they were getting, so I had to step in. Hi, sis. When you got 6, that's a lot of, herding. So,
herding cats.
Yes. I've mothered them so much that my sisters one year sent me a Mother's Day card. Right? I know, I did the same thing. I was like, and I would invite you, if you don't have a good story, to think about who mothered you. Somebody was sent in your way, in your path, to be that face of love for you. You maybe had to wait for it for a long time. And if that hasn't happened, open your heart so it can. Just open your heart so that it can do it. Mama always told me that I couldn't do anything to make her cut off my corner of the table. I know that's good for a Southern girl. That's how God is. There's nothing you can do that would make God go, oh, not her. Oh, that guy. No, it only knows itself. That's why we don't believe in sin in the way that other churches preach it. It doesn't know that. It only knows itself. It only knows love. It only knows peace. It only knows its own power. If you've ever felt love, the presence of God has been upon you. The Spirit of God, right? I was at a party, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago. And this good friend of mine that knows my story, and I've got a little checkered past, and I've got a lot of heartache and a lot of not very good stuff. And she said, we're just having a cocktail, and she's like, knowing what I know about you, I'm surprised by the person that you are. And I was like, Had to sit with that. I'm the person I am because I actually decided to accept the gift of love and to allow it to be my experience. Allow it. I didn't always do that because there were some people that I was like, not you. You don't get any of this. Forget it. Forget about it. Groups of people. Whole groups of people I just wrote off because I couldn't allow love, because I didn't feel that I was love. But I am. I started coming here and I started going, maybe what they're saying is true. So I started allowing love to be a part of my story. Now, my mama always loved me and still loves me to this day with all my brand of crazy. So that never went away. But for me to experience the full spectrum of love, I had to open myself up to allow it to move through me. There's this image I have about pipes. You put a pipe in your house. If you've done any plumbing, any home renovation, you put a dry pipe in that house. When you turn the water on, the pipe is wet first before the water comes out. You get me? It flows through you. It doesn't just flow through you and do nothing to you, because it's a verb. It likes to do stuff. And it will. It really, really will. And when I am not being very loving, because we're human, there's a question I like to ask myself. I don't always appreciate the answer because it's always the same answer, and sometimes, damn it, I don't want to hear that answer. But I ask the question, and it's, what would love do here? Love more? Okay. The key to joyous living is to allow love to be your experience, to be your mouth, to be your ears, to be your hands, to be your feet, to be. Let it be. Perfect ending song, by the way. God is so crazy how it orchestrates this whole thing. You'll know what I mean when she sings again. You just got to let love be. I've been reading this book. I forgot it again, Don. I've been reading this book for a long time, this Science of Mind of ours. If you don't have it, please go get it. Get it downstairs or get it on Amazon. I don't care how you get it, buy it, use. Get this book. It will do things for you. He wrote 570 pages, not including the glossary and all the other stuff. I got the fancy one. 570 pages. And all these pages, the chapters are the chapters, and then he has these little headings, right? Little headings for what he's going to talk about. And out of all those hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of paragraphs, of headings, only one has a bullet. It has a bullet. I'm so intrigued by that. I just want to know what was going on in his mind. He's like, they really need to listen up here. When he puts it in all caps, I feel like he's yelling at me. Like, hey, you listening? A simple bullet. And the heading is love. There's a line in here that changed my life. Love is the central flame of the universe, nay, the very fire itself. It's written that God is love and that we are its express likeness, the image of the eternal being. Love is self-givingness. Self-givingness. God just going, there you go, I'm giving it to you. Through creation. I'm going to put myself everywhere that they might know who they are and what they are. The impartation of the divine through the human. Love is an essence, an atmosphere, which defies analysis, as does life itself. It is that which is, caps, and cannot be explained. It is common to all people, this is the funny part, it is common to all people, to all animal life, and evident in the response of plants to those who love them. Oh, he cracks me up. Love reigns supreme over all. This part is my favorite. The essence of love, while elusive, pervades everything, fires the heart, stimulates the emotion, renews the soul, and proclaims the spirit. Now listen to this, kids. Only love knows love, and love knows only love. Only love knows love, and love knows only love. That's my favorite. Words cannot express its depths or meaning. A universal sense alone bears witness to the divine fact, God is love, and love is God. I've been reading Lillian DeWatter's Finished Kingdom. Kathy Ann turned me on to it. And in the second chapter on the first page, she wrote this: light does not need to be acquainted with darkness to remove it. If it searched from plane to plane, from eternity to eternity, it would never find darkness. For wherever it looked, it would only find itself, its own radiant self. This is true about love. Love goes searching. It doesn't need to be acquainted with anger to remove it. Doesn't need to be acquainted with disappointment, judgment, fury. I've been furious sometimes. You? Yeah, fury. Whew, that's a big one. Doesn't have to be acquainted with that to remove it. Because love only knows love. So let's go back to the beginning about me mothering people, and some of you have mothered people, young people. God put my mother's face in front of me. It wore my mother's face so that I would know love. Because the rest of the part was not that. You don't need the details, but it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty. So God sent me people. He sent me my mother. He sent me my Aunt Jo and my Aunt Sis and my Aunt Jeri and my Nani. He sent me Robin Coleman and Bev Mondin in the 70s. And when I was young, 10, sent me Violet Shockley. Because although my mother loved me unconditionally, I didn't love me. All that other shit got in the way of that. It just got in the way. I couldn't see it. I couldn't believe it. But Violet could do it. And her lovely husband, Lewis. Oh, I love me some Lewis. Taught me how to drive when I was 12 years old. Trusted me to drive his car. Now, some of you might think that's crazy, but it's a back road in Alabama. And he taught me to listen to the engine first. I got to sit up front. I got to go every weekend. They'd pick me up from school, 5 o'clock. Pick me up, not 5 o'clock, probably 3 o'clock. Take me to their house. And I got to be in the atmosphere of love for 2.5 days. It did something to me. God knew I needed a man that would show me I was lovable. Sent me Lewis. Such a sweet man. Let me cut the grass. Riding lawnmower, popping wheelies. I digress. God sends people for us because it's omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and I like to say omnibenevolent. It's like that movie recently, Everything, Everywhere, All at Once. That's God. They could have just said God, the movie. And love will have its way. Love got me. If love can get me, it can get you. Unconditioned. Doesn't matter what's happened. Doesn't matter what's happening right this day. It could be something today that you're going through. And I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it doesn't matter to love. I did a talk one time at Amazing Grace called Resistance is Feudal. The Borg of God's love will get you. Surrender. Just surrender. But I want to revisit that people fall short. Maybe your mother fell short. Or maybe you're a mother who feels like they fell short. I fell short. You? Oh yeah. Don? Anybody here not fall short? Peter. See, he thought about it. Oh. Right? We all do. Jane Power took me by the shoulders one time and made me look her in the eye and said, "You know you've always done the best you can." And I said, "No, I haven't." I mean, I laughed right in her face. No. Oh, yes, Jeri. Yes, you have. If you could have done better, you would have. That was your best, whatever you did. Your best. Extrapolate that. Extrapolate that to the people that fall short. I want to share something I forgot about first service because love did it. I was crushed emotionally, just devastated. I had nothing after my brother died. I was in college, and I flunked out. They were like, "You need to take a break." And I didn't want to take a break. I just was not capable of doing what I needed to do, but I still really wanted to be there. Still wanted to learn. I still wanted to experience. And my father, who was not the face of love, got in a car and drove from Maryland to Alabama to personally speak to the dean to ask them to let me back in. And they did. What was that? That was love. In a way that he could show it, in a way that he could allow it through him. And my remembering of it was love reminding me that despite the conditions that I still remember, love is the only thing that's true. I'm proof. You need proof? Look at me. If love can do it for me, it'll do it for you. Page 404. I love this. We should contact a larger field of faith. This is done by understanding that God is the giver and the sustainer of human life and expression. Love is the giver and the sustainer of human life and expression. Love is. Love, God, is all there is. It is substance and supply. It is the ingredients and the things that are made, and it is the volition to do all of that. It's all there is. We must learn to accept it. And here's the kicker. If it is God's pleasure to give us the kingdom, then it should be our privilege to accept the gift. Ernest is so good. Should be your privilege to accept the gift of love. Because it's who you are anyway. It's who I am. It doesn't matter all the things I've done that did not look like love. I was still love. All the things that you've done that didn't look like love. All the things that your mother or your father or your friend or your spouse did or your child doesn't change anything about the fact that they are love, and so are you. Close your eyes for a second and bring to mind somebody that you love and somebody that loves you. Just bring them to mind. Raise your hand when you have it. Yes, look at that. Now just notice, keep your eyes closed, notice what is happening. You can put your hands down. What's happening in your body? What's happening in your brain, in your heart, in your stomach, in your throat? Love's doing something. That's what that is. That's love. You just experienced its action. Because love doesn't touch anything and leave it the same. I want to share a reading from 365, Science of Mind, another book you should buy. I don't know if I've read 365 days because sometimes I switch up books, but this is from February. I found it this morning and it's so perfect that I have to share it. February 24th, I open myself to greater love. Though I speak with the tongues of men and of angels and have not charity, I am become as sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. That's from 1 Corinthians, that lovely chapter 13 on love. So it's saying if I'm just talking like everybody else and not talking with love, I'm just making noise. That's Jeri's interpretation of Corinthians. Hi, Baptist. Love is more than a sentiment. It is a need, a hunger, a thirst that is perfectly natural. Anyone who thinks he can live and be happy without it does not know what he's talking about, psychologically, emotionally, or spiritually. Love is the beginning and end, the impulse in nature that will not be denied. It will not be denied. Trust me. Let us think back beyond the individual to the source of all life. I believe that the whole universe is the givingness of the creative spirit to the delight of its own being, just because it wanted to, into the creation that is itself in that creation. Love is the principle of life, for it is the nature of everything to give. Only the one who loves so much that there is no longer any room for hate will ever arrive at the place where, if there may be hate, he will never know it. Love knows only love. We are afraid of greatness because we're so tied down to littleness. We clutch the littleness anxiously and jealously, but so precariously to our hearts. It is essential to see beyond the littleness to something bigger. None of us is as perfect in expression as we ought to be. We all fell short. So the challenge to each of us is to be great enough to rise in love, in charity, through understanding and compassion. Love is the lodestone of life. It's that magnetic force that connects you and me, and you and me, and you and me, and everything. I respond lovingly to all persons, recognizing that the spiritual life is the real life. I surround myself with love, the key to joyous living. Let's pray. I'm grateful on this day that love moves in and as and through all of creation. I'm grateful that I have free will to say yes to it today. I don't have to wait. I don't have to do anything but say yes to it and to allow it to be what it is. All-encompassing. Yes, sustaining my life and yours. I'm grateful that love only says yes to us. I'm grateful for the people that have loved unconditionally, and I am grateful for the people who fell short that gave me the opportunity to love. It is the fire of the universe. It's the warmth. It's the color. It's the air. It's the music. It's God. And so it is.